Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we'll be taking a look at my 2006 CLK 500. So if you follow the channel, you'll realize that I've owned this car for just a little over, or maybe just a little under a year. I can't remember exactly, but it's been about a year. So I just kind of wanted to go over some of the things that have been done on this car. So the first thing is, when I bought it, there were a couple things that needed done, but nothing major. And one of them was, and I didn't really even notice this before I bought it because I'd driven it, but not on the highway so much. But there's a little bit of a vibration coming through the steering wheel. So that was the first thing I kind of wanted to sort out. So it was recommended that I replace the front lower forward control arms. I did both of those, and then the sway bar end links were also in poor shape, so we did those as well. And I also redid the bushings for the sway bar itself. So we put that in, and no luck. Still kind of did the same thing, but that's okay, it needed done anyway. So the next thing, I didn't do this, but I had it done. I had the wheel bearings redone. That was the next thing recommended to me. And the car still does a little bit of has a little bit of a vibration even after that. So the next thing we had done was an alignment, all four wheels basically, 4-point alignment, and it's still doing the same thing. So we'll get back to that in a little bit. The next thing that was done, so the rear window regulator on the passenger side, we'll walk around here and take a look. This happened actually like last November or December. It was kind of a warm day out, and I had the top down, and I went to, I think, put the top down and put it up, and there was a loud snap, and the rear window here kind of dropped a little bit. So this is kind of a complex regulator. It's driven by cables, and there's a couple pulleys, and there's a motor, and it's all basically mounted onto a panel, and you have to remove the entire rear seat, and I guess this door is locked, but you have to remove the entire rear seat bottom and the back cushion, and there's a couple support panels and interior panels that come out, and it's actually kind of a big job. So I had to do that. I actually did it myself. The new regulator itself is about, from like one of the online part suppliers, was about $600 or $500 or $600 anyway. I found used ones for about $200 to $250, but I was trying to stay away from that. And it turns out there is a repair kit for it, which is a little bit tricky, but definitely doable. And the repair kit, I think, was about $25. So I went ahead and did that. I've had this window open and closed, up and down, put the top up and down 100 times or so, and no issue. It works great, and no problem. It's a little tricky getting it aligned again, but definitely very doable. All right, and then on from there, let's see, and I'm reading off a list here because it's a little bit too much to remember off the top of my head. The next thing, when I bought the car, the glove box. So the glove box, and this is common with CLKs. So what you'll notice on a lot of them is this gap for the glove box is lower than this gap here, and kind of along the side. So what happens is, if you look in this, I don't know what's in here, but anyway, if you look in this, it's kind of a big looking glove box, but you can really only load it up to this point because it goes up against this point. So anyway, a lot of times what will happen is people will put too much in it and then shove it closed. So it turns out you have to pull this, I can't remember exactly how I did it, but you pull the shelf out, pull the CD changer out, and I retightened this latch. It had just become loose. So I readjusted that, and now when you close it, it lines up perfectly. So that wasn't too bad, and I actually just did that recently. It was something that kind of needed to be done, but wasn't at the top of my list. And pardon the appearance of the car. I haven't exactly kept it perfectly clean yet. We've been getting a lot of rain, and it's fall, so it's just kind of messy out. So that was the next thing. Moving on, a little bit later in the year, one of the low beam bulbs went bad, so I replaced both of those. No big deal. Then around springtime, I had the car loaned out. I said, yeah, you know, run the top, enjoy it, it's meant to be used, and you know, it is, so there's nothing wrong with that. But when I got it back, the person had said, you know, the top worked great, except the last time it seemed like it went up really slowly. And I thought, okay, well, I'll look at it, but I didn't get a chance right away. I went out the next morning, and there was fluid right below the rear wheel, and that lets me know that basically there's a hydraulic system, or there's an issue with the hydraulic system, a component's leaking or whatnot. So the first thing I did was check the fluid level, which is check through this access, and that was low. Turns out the cylinder that raises and lowers they call it the case cover, I call it the tonneau cover, but it's this piece, had blown out. So I mailed that off to be rebuilt because, after all, buying one new is quite costly. The rebuilt ones are better, in my opinion, anyway. So had that sent out to be rebuilt, and it took about a month. It was only supposed to take a week, but it took about a month. So I got that in and went to take it for a drive the first time, and I heard a very loud snapping noise from the back, and was seeing this tonneau cover almost come in contact with the deck lid. So I actually had this confirmed via a Mercedes dealer, but the hinge on this side went bad. The little plastic piece had snapped or something inside, so that was the next thing to replace because it wasn't bringing the tonneau cover down evenly. So I had to replace that. I found one on eBay and swapped it out, and so far it's been pretty good. And while we're at the back, this AMG badge, it didn't come with the car. It's not supposed to be on the car. It's an AMG package, not an AMG card. That annoys me to no end, and I just have yet to remove it. If I'm going to take it off there, I want to do it proper and not leave a mark or anything, so wait till I have time to do it properly. Okay, nothing else too much yet. You'll notice there's a little bit of peeling here on the clear coat on the spoiler. So these Mercedes had an issue with their Mars Red paint, and like Fire Opal, I think, was the other color for it. For whatever reason, it just had some issues. So, you know, painting the spoiler isn't a big deal, but red isn't exactly the easiest color to match, and when you have a car that's 15 years old, I mean, I'm not opposed to painting a couple panels, but I mean, I don't want to have a patchwork of panels where, you know, we do the fenders and hood one year and the next year we need to do the doors. So I'm a little bit nervous about that going forward. Some other things that need done, you'll notice there's a little bit of moisture here in the lenses. Only, it seems like when it rains it'll stick around, but then once it's dry out again, it'll dry up and be okay. So that needs done yet, in addition to the removal of that badge. And let's see. So I did have to replace the batteries in the key fob. No big deal, nothing major there. About a month ago, I was driving on the highway for like an hour or two, and got off the highway and noticed kind of a loud noise from the front end. Turned out the front right brake caliper was seized up, so went ahead and replaced that with a remanufactured one. Got it all painted up and back in place, so that's good to go. And the last thing is that this car gets inspected in October, so it's going to need new tires in the back. I'll probably have ones done in the front as well, and fingers crossed that'll take care of that vibration issue, which is it just annoys me to no end. It seems like it only happens at a certain range of speeds within about 5 miles per hour from one end to the other, so I just kind of stay out of that band, but you know, it just kind of takes away from the car. Other than that, I have to say, you know, in spite of the problems that it's had, I'm still very impressed. The car is very elegant, very beautiful, drives and rides very nice, nice power. I get a lot of compliments on this car, which is nice, although I don't necessarily appreciate the attention. I don't really need that. That's not why I have it. I own it because I like it and nothing more. But in spite of those issues, you know, it's done great. I've used this car a lot. No issues with the top leaking. Nothing else really is broken. The stereo, everything with the seats, the interior all looks great. You can see the exterior is, like I said, a little dirty but in good shape. The top still looks good. All the glass is in good shape. Inside, everything is still really, really nice. I will say one thing. When I had the seats out for replacing that regulator, I don't know if I left it out or if it was never plugged in to begin with, but the subwoofer was unplugged, and I was riding around for a couple months and I was thinking, I don't think that sub is working. I thought, I wonder if I never plugged it back in, and sure enough it wasn't. So whether I left it unplugged or it was just unplugged before, I don't know. But otherwise, yeah, everything's still in great shape inside, and just a great, really nice riding car. So after a year, would I recommend buying one? Well, it kind of depends on what you're comparing it with. I think that for a European convertible, especially a 4-seater, kind of a large convertible, I think this is really, really a nice one. But it's certainly not without its flaws. You know, I say buy what you want to buy as long as you can afford it with a vehicle, and I think this is pretty manageable. Again, maybe this was a slightly worse year than average, who knows? We'll see what happens going forward, but it's certainly a car I would own again. It's just such a nice car overall. There's really no compromises with it as a convertible versus a sedan, in my opinion, other than just the access. But it's otherwise it's been great. So, you know, especially if you can do some work on this yourself, it's definitely something worth considering. Okay, hope you enjoyed, hope you learned a little bit from it. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you with the next one.